Here. So many MMA fans were clamoring to see former UFC champion Ronda Rousey back in the octagon at the first ever UFC fight in New York City. However, according to Dana White, that might not be coming to fruition. Rousey will not fight at UFC 205 on November 12th in Madison Square Garden. Rousey hasn't fought since being knocked out by Holly Holm. That one was in November. Max, is this a bad look for Rousey?
It's not a good one. But the issue, the bad look for Rousey was when there was talk of an immediate rematch with Holly Holm. I mean, first there's an old expression in boxing, in the fight game, and this is part of the fight game, UFC, obviously, it's combat sports. If there's a knockout in the first fight, that same fighter is going to knock out the other fighter in the rematch only sooner. And the issue for Rousey, just in terms of getting back into fighting, like Mike Tyson once upon a time, like George Foreman once upon a time, Sonny Liston once upon a time. When you are the baddest on the planet, the one that everyone fears, you have the aura of invincibility, and that's stripped. Not only are other fighters now less scared of you, they're not intimidated by you, the intimidation doesn't beat them before the fight starts, but in terms of the fighter's own self-image, that changes, because they never lost professionally, and all of a sudden, they taste that. They know in a fundamental way that they didn't know before that they are beatable. If I were handling Ronda Rousey's career, and I've debated this with Dana White, because Dana wanted to see Ronda and a Holly Holm fight an immediate rematch, and I would advise against it at the time, because now obviously the title's changed hands a couple times. But I would have put Ronda Rousey in with the softest fighter I could find that I could sell the public, and I would try to do it right away, a couple months after the loss. 2-3 months later, I'd want her in against a real easy fighter. I would want her in a couple months after that, Stephen A., against a kickboxer who could give her the same look as Holly Holm, but not anyone as good as Holly Holm. And then after that second fight, I would evaluate whether she should even go right to a Holly Holm rematch. Not that she couldn't beat Holly Holm, but you have to restore the fighter's psyche. It's not just a matter that maybe she thought she was a movie star or wasn't properly prepared, just ran into the wrong woman on the wrong night or the wrong style, whatever it is. It's that you have to rebuild her belief in herself before you put her back in. And I think what's happened since then, I know she had the knee procedure, I know she has a swollen foot now, and she's not going to fight till she's ready, which is smart. But what I see happening from afar to Ronda Rousey is she is dealing with the fact that in her own estimation, her invincibility is gone. There are other ways to make money. It's a very tough sport, and it will be over a year until she's back in the ring. It's not a good look, but I don't even think it's about how it looks to everyone else. I think of how it's about how it feels to Ronda Rousey. Her confidence hasn't been restored. She hasn't fought since then. I believe this has been mishandled in Ronda Rousey's case.
It has been mishandled by Ronda Rousey. I don't know what part, if any, Dana White has played in that, or the UFC under their I imagine they would want her to get back in the ring as soon as she possibly could. Here's my issue with it. I'm a fan of Ronda Rousey. I like her bravado. You know, Josh Norman caliber bravado, et cetera, et cetera. I get all of that. And especially, and I'm okay with it from a woman's perspective, because women don't get recognized in the world of sports as much as the men do when they're great. If you're not Serena Williams, I don't know of any woman that has the level of recognition comparable to that of most men who are superstars on their level. But what we must understand about Ronda Rousey, and what must be said, as much respect as I have for her, as great of a champion as I thought she was, and I still view her as, because one loss to me doesn't mean that, you know, you suddenly stink or whatever. Have nothing but respect for her. The problem is that I don't know if it's the loss that's affecting her as much as the impact from the outside world about the loss. You know what this is tantamount to in a crazy, odd kind of way to me? Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, yes, his skills dissipated thereafter, but when he had that incident involving the police, you know, when he got into the situation with his wife, and all of a sudden, all of those salacious details came out about his behavior, Tiger Woods, to me, his game had disintegrated from that point forward. I don't care about the numerous tournaments he won. He didn't win a major since. Why? Because psychologically, here's what happened. I promoted myself and exploited the attention that I was getting based on this image and this facade that I had portrayed to the masses. And then all of a sudden, when the truth came out, I got exposed, and I can't deal with that. In Ronda Rousey's case, we're not talking about image. We're talking about fighting, true, because you lost in the octagon. But it's not that she lost. It's that the mystique that she had created for herself and exploited, monetarily and very, very exponentially, the bottom line is all of that came crashing down. And to me, that's what she's dealing with. Don't tell me that a loss is affecting Ronda Rousey and it's just a loss. If you train as much as she has trained and you are as gifted as she is, somewhere along the way in your life, you lost at some point. It's the image that you created, how the outside world, how you manipulated them looking at you, and how that loss has now changed all of that. That's the problem to me. It's not that she lost, because we all understand anybody could lose in the octagon. Anybody could lose. I mean, listen, McGregor has lost. Nate Diaz got 11 losses on his career. John Bones Jones has lost. You know, everybody, people lose all of that. Unless your main name is Floyd Money Mayweather, you've lost. But in the end, what it comes down to is that if you are fending off the imagery that you created and how that has been sabotaged or destroyed, that, to me, is what she is dealing with right now. That is her battle.
I have something that might change your opinion. Obviously, I cannot wait to see a fight at Madison Square Garden. They fought so hard, the UFC, to get that ban lifted, so now we'll finally see that. And I wanted to see Ronda come back on that iconic card, but I did just get a text from someone in the UFC, and she is targeting to come back December or January, so I don't know if that kind of changes your stance in a sense that if it's health, and she couldn't come for this particular card, but she will be back the following month. In December, they have 2 cards already planned for December 10th and 30th. She's not hiding out.
This is not a funny thing, and we in no way are trying to come across as somebody like when Ronda Rousey lost, I was hurt for her. Holly Holm seemed to be a really, really sweet and nice lady, but the bottom line is that you couldn't help but feel sorry for Ronda Rousey, especially when you saw her on Ellen DeGeneres' show talking about how she didn't even want to live. This is serious, serious stuff, but it doesn't come across, rather, as it being, Max, because she lost the fight. Well, it's because of everything surrounding it.
I think also the pressure for her to come back against not only a world-class fighter, but the woman at the time who had just beaten her. And even now, the idea, now she's been out of the ring for a year, out of the octagon for a year, is she supposed to come back against a cream puff? You know, which actually is the right idea. I mean, throughout the boxing history, that's usually how it works if you get knocked out. No, there's pressure on her to come back against a top-flight, world-class fighter. I think, without knowing it for sure, but in my experience, being around the fight game and seeing how fighters respond to losses, that added pressure to fight someone like that could have something to do with the extended absence. I want to say this, too, about Ronda Rousey, because you brought up women fighting. The fact that it occurred to me when she lost, that any human being or any fighter, anyone really, loses something and the world stops spinning on its axis, tells you how important she became, how significant she became, particularly a female fighter. For a female fighter to lose a fight and Earth stops spinning because everyone pays attention to that, to her must have felt like the lowest low. She talked about intrusive suicidal thoughts and all that kind of stuff, and I get it. But from another point of view, and I'm sure eventually, I hope eventually, she could look at it this way, she became so great at what she did and so important at what she did that a loss for her meant the whole world noticed, and that is such a rare thing for anyone to ever accomplish.
Of course, because she was also built up to the highest of highs and surpassed all the men in terms of draw and becoming the biggest name in the sport. But I am excited if she does return in December or January potentially, and of course can't wait to see the UFC. I hope to be at that fight, that one in MSG November 12th. Coming up next, Friday, we got a new movie, Hands of Stone, and these stars are joining us next. Look who it is, Usher, Edgar Ramirez. Oh, they're facing off. They're ready to go. Can they battle Max and Stephen A? All love. They're joining us at the desk. That's next. What's up, guys?
Right.
Come on over. Thank you. I got plans for this weekend. Joining us now are the stars of the new film Hands of Stone in theaters this Friday. Thrilled to be joined by Golden Globe-nominated actor Edgar Ramirez, who plays Roberto Hands of Stone Duran, 8-time Grammy Award winner Usher Raymond IV, who plays, of course, the icon Sugar Ray Leonard. You guys, thanks so much for being here. We so appreciate you making the trip up.
You guys don't have any idea how incredible it is to actually be here with you. First and foremost, Max, thank you, man. You're doing a great job since Skip is gone.
Thank you, brother.
I tell you, man, amazing. And you know, I don't have to ever tell you. Yo, of course, first of all, let's just look at your attire right now.
Thank you so much.
Killing it. Okay, got that out of the way.
Awesome. Thank you, guys, again. Usher, I want to start with you. What newfound respect do you have for boxers after playing this role?
Well, understanding the psychological aspect of it is one thing that became painfully obvious. You know, you just have an ultimate respect for, one, the fact that they have to lose that weight, go in front of an entire audience of people who are screaming and hollering, and then still remain focused within a fight. And an opponent's in front of you trying to tear your damn head off. You know, it's like, I don't think, I mean, acting that isn't something that I think I felt was the way to get to the role. I've been plagiarizing this since we started. He said this earlier. You know, you can play any sport you want. Golf, you can play basketball, baseball, football, but you can't play boxing. You have to physically go in there and understand it, and I did that. I had the opportunity to train with Ray. I trained in Atlanta. I trained and also to spar with amateurs in preparation for it, because I really wanted to know what it felt like to be under that type of pressure. You know?
And what was it like when you had a conversation with Ray, and he knew you would be portraying him in this film? What were the kind of things he said to you? What were the kind of feeling you got from, you know, just with him reacting to you?
There were a few steps that had to take place before I got
Like
there.
what?
So Jonathan reached out to me and gave me, you know, all of the reasons why he felt it would be a great opportunity for me to go for it if I was willing to do it. I wanted to talk to Ray. So I reached out to Ray and I made him aware that there was a, you know, boxing film being made about Roberto Duran, and they wanted me to play him. Would he, you know, condone it? He said, yes, it'd be an honor to have you do it. You know, I read his book. I read his book, The Big Fight, and it gave me a basis of how to approach him and asking questions leading up to that first fight, in between the second fight, and then the second fight. You know, but the story is, I mean, amazing. We were talking about it before we came out. This is a story that can educate you about the nature of boxing, and also to the reality, the heinous side, the dark side of boxing. But it tells an entire story from Duran's early times, early days, until his, you know, his success.
I got one for each of you. First, I know we've been directing a lot this way, but I got one for you in a second. We're coming this way in a second.
Coming this way.
So the hardest thing to do, I think, for an actor who's playing a famous character is to get it down so that people recognize the character, but not just do an imitation.
Right.
Do an interpretation.
Right.
A more experienced actor, you expect that from, but there I just watched you. I could see it was Sugar Ray Leonard, but it was an interpretation, not just like an imitation of Sugar Ray Leonard. How do you pull that off as an inexperienced actor?
Well, first and foremost, I had to get my inner Steven on. You know, I just seen you on General Hospital, so yeah. No, I do. So
Brick. Call him Brick.
The first thing is to train like a boxer. I said it. You know, you can't act this. You really have to. I mean, I had to lose the weight. I grew his hair, you know, and I studied his mannerisms. I began to look at him and analyze every aspect of who he was and what kind of led him to be the icon that he was, and then deal with the pressure of Duran. Duran was a monster, man. He was scary.
That's where I'm going. Right?
He was intimidating.
I had to go.
Duran, man.
I got to ask you this, because, I mean, everybody talks about Duran welterweight. I remember Duran getting knocked out by Tommy Hitman Hearns. I remember that.
Okay.
But before that, I remember him just destroying people. And he was as vicious as they come. I actually missed that in boxing to some degree in this day and age. But what was it like to play him? Talk to me about what you had to do to get ready for this role, to be Roberto Duran, because that seemed to be something special.
Yeah, well, we're both very lucky that the champs trained us. I mean, I was trained by Roberto Duran in the same way that Sugar Ray Leonard trained Usher. I moved to Panama, and the whole process took probably over a year between all the training and the shooting. And Roberto was very open, and he was very generous to share a lot of time with me and to teach me the tricks and the technique, and he revealed a lot of things to me, but he also did not. And by not sharing everything with me, I learned more about him than had he opened completely up. Because one thing that I take away from this film is that boxers are like magicians. You know, they have tricks and they have cards under their sleeves that they will never reveal. It's like having a genie in a bottle, and that's part of the mystery. And I think that that's why boxing is so fascinating. Still,
I want to peel, because you just finished saying that there were some things that he showed you a lot,
yeah,
but he didn't show you everything.
Yeah, no.
What did he keep from you? What did he keep from you?
Well, for example, I would ask him, why did you stop the fight? I mean, what happened that night in New Orleans? And he would never. I mean, every time I would ask him things straight, he would not shut up. He would keep talking, but he would take me somewhere else. I mean, he would just, you know.
He was partying too much leading up to the fight. He wasn't in shape to fight Sugar Ray in the rematch.
Well, the thing is that it's not. I mean, it's not as, and that's the fascinating part of the story. It's not as black and white as he was just partying and do. I mean, there's more to it.
Yeah,
and that's,
sure.
And that's the drama. I mean, just imagine that you come from nothing. Yeah. You've never had food on your plate, which is something very, very. Something that happens very often in the life of boxers.
Yeah.
It's a sport of them. It's
of course,
sport.
fighting your
so
way
you've
out.
never had. And one of the things that is one of the most dramatic things, and I learned this by spending all this time in Panama and training in the slums and going to El Chorrillo, where he comes from, is that one of the most dramatic things about being poor, it's feeling that you're no one, that you're a nobody. And this is a kid who never had food on his plate, and then suddenly he had, for the first time, all the money to buy all the food, and for the first time, all eyes are on him. That could be very overwhelming, and that is something that also, I mean, we can relate to that. I mean, people who are on the spotlight. I mean, it's something that actually the movie explores and would give great clues to all boxing fans out there on what the events and the things that went down and led to that fight.
I feel the need to chime in here because I was talking to Usher about this off the air before the show. I need either one of y'all to explain this to me. We see no mas.
Yeah.
Usher was talking about how it ain't that simple, Stephen A. It's not that simple. There's more to it than that. Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking is, Latino, you know, that hardcore heritage, fight, drop, you give up at no time. And that's exactly what Roberto Duran did. Whether he said the words no mas or not is irrelevant to me. The fact is, it's clear that that night he quit. What do y'all take from that?
He didn't quit. He said go to hell. That's different.
He said go to hell.
He said go to hell, but I'm not going to tell you.
Stop fighting.
Yo, but this is precisely the point. We're going to reinvigorate the conversation.
Yeah.
And you'll get a different perspective because now you're getting the full perspective. You get a chance to understand the reality. And I don't want to advocate specifically for Roberto Duran because I didn't play the Roberto Duran, but I can tell you.
Go ahead, you can.
But looking at the film, you really do get an understanding of how political this could be, how the business sometimes takes over, how you know the reality of who we are and how much we celebrate in our wins. That actually does play a part in it. In a way, being a debate about whether it was diuretics, and whether it was, he wasn't ready for the fight, whether he actually, got beat down by
in a way, it was the ultimate.
Got in his head. It's all of that. It's actually a bit of all of it.
In a way, it was the ultimate tough guy move. In a way, I mean, you could see it's quitting, but you could interpret it as the ultimate tough guy move. Look, I don't have it tonight. I've been partying. This dude is psyching me out. He's embarrassing me. I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of seeing me on the canvas. Goodbye.
Yeah, but this is the thing. And this is why I really love.
You could interpret it that way.
Yeah, but Max, you haven't seen the film, and I think that you are gonna really enjoy.
Still,
you're gonna love the film because actually, all the clues to what you're saying.
Yeah. You got Robert De Niro in the Roberto Duran movie?
Yeah,
you think I'm not seeing this movie?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that it's way more complex, and this is something that we learned. I mean, this is the thing. Because we went through the process of becoming fighters, not professional fighters, but we fight. I mean, we had to become boxers in order to access and to understand these characters. And going through the pressure and the deprivation and the hardship and the struggle really changed us. Yeah. So it's very difficult. I mean, it's very simplistic to say he was just tired because he was partying and he just felt bad and he said, first of all, he didn't quit. Right. He said go to hell, but not necessarily. This is as much as I'm going to say because I don't want to reveal. I want people, this is a tease for you to go and see the film. It wasn't go to hell to his fellow athlete. It was go to hell to a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Here's the only thing I'm going to say. I can't wait until next week. Definitely going to go watch the film.
All of us, yeah.
What I'm interested in seeing is what this man has to say once he watches the film, because this is boxing here. And so I know what I thought of No Mas. I've heard what you thought. I can't wait to see what you have to say in terms of your perspective once we watch this film. Because I want to see if this is going to change his mind.
Well, Max, I want to applaud you, man, because you're right. Boxing is not what it used to be.
No.
And part of it is the fact that this was a poor man's sport that has now become a glamorized rich man's sport. And where is the hunger? The hunger is in the pursuit of the proper match. But the wars that happened back in that time.
Know why you got him, though? Because the character you played.
I was getting ready to say that.
Was the money man.
That's
when
right.
The money man is like, just bring me the biggest, baddest dude for the most money. This is prize fighting. You get a great era. Yep. Muhammad Ali, get me Foreman, get me Frazier, get whoever's there. Sugar Ray Leonard, the glamour boy, the golden child, the gold medalist. He said, oh, Wilfred Benitez, Roberto Duran, he beat me. Get me right back in with Roberto Duran. Tommy Hearns was killing everybody. Marvin Hagler, get me the biggest, baddest dude. When you have the money man, Sugar Ray Leonard, with that attitude, you get a gold
Let me say, last comment.
Yep.
You're right. But Sugar Ray, nothing but respect, because I love me some Sugar Ray, in a complimentary way, is also somewhat to blame about the glamour. Because when you think glamour and boxing, who was more glamorous than Sugar Ray?
No. Sugar Ray Robinson?
No, I'm saying glamorous. I didn't say...
By the way, you know how big
Sugar Ray...
Glamorous.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Because of the world we're living in. Come on now.
We weren't even there. But I'm saying Sugar Ray
The word
Robinson...
entourage was made for Sugar Ray Robinson. By the way, Sugar Ray Leonard...
And an entrepreneur, too. In Harlem?
Yeah, talk about that.
No, Robinson was bigger than that. Robinson was bigger than that.
Well, by the way, you can't fault Sugar Ray Leonard.
I'm not faulting him for it.
No, because Sugar Ray Leonard also, too, changed the standard for African-American endorsement.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I'm
By
just
the way,
saying.
I want to give kids...
when I got them
I
thinking
want to
about
give you an
money.
idea of how big Sugar Ray Leonard was.
What everybody?
Yeah.
I want to give you an idea about how big Sugar Ray Leonard was. At the time, 1981, of the Leonard Hearns fight and right around the Duran fight, the highest paid athlete in the history of American team sports, by far, Dave Winfield, $2 million a year. Sugar Ray Leonard made over $10 million for fighting Roberto Duran,
That's
for
your
fighting
example.
Tommy Hearns.
That's your example. You know what my example is? When did we ever care about seeing a boxer with his own kid? Sugar Ray and his kid, with a big smile, he knocking people out. But he's
Drinking
smiling on
7-Up.
television.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about in terms of the glamour.
Yeah.
These guys think about money. Sugar Ray taught him.
Well, he understood branding in the aspect of making sure that, you know, the concept and the idea of what boxing was could evolve. Right? I mean, Oscar De La Hoya did the same thing.
That's right.
You know, but my point is, you know, for me, when I looked at this role, I was like, okay, what is it that I could go after that people don't know? And after reading his book, The Big Fight, you realize that there was a lot going on inside of Sugar Ray's head, but he wasn't showing it. There was a wall up because of the perception that he had for what he had, you know, come in.
Edgar, look at this. Even in the Roberto Duran movie, Sugar Ray is overshadowing him.
No.
Look at this.
I told you off the air. You come up and come back. You know what? This is one of the most amazing contradictions of the story in the film. That that Sugar Ray presented himself before Duran, for when Duran came from, he was the rich kid.
Sure.
He was the rich kid. He became this imperial power. He was the symbol of this country that was also that he felt that was occupying his country at the time.
Yes.
So that fight, I mean, the level, I mean, the number of layers that came into play in those two fights, it goes beyond boxing.
Gentlemen,
I mean, it was, as you say, it was a golden era when people were fighting for more than money.
Yeah,
they were making a living, but they were fighting for more than money.
Yeah.
Edgar, Usher, I hate to cut you guys off. We could talk to you all day.
Can't wait to see the movie. I can't wait.
Well, this is a great cause to go see the movie.
Yeah,
right?
we were already excited. This took it another level. Edgar,
Settle it in the
Usher,
ring.
appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for being here. We can't wait to check it out.